Hello everyone, welcome to the session Who Owns Media in Germany, Media Ownership Monitor Germany. My name is Nafisa and I'm delighted to be here. So I'll give you just a few general remarks about Media Ownership Monitor and then hand it over to my colleague Matthias to give you a few more insights about the Media Ownership Monitor Germany and our preliminary findings. So, Media Ownership Monitor was conceived in 2015 by Reporter ohne Grenzen here in Berlin. The first 5 years it was financed by BMZ, the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. And we basically implemented Media Ownership Monitor in these 5 years in 21 countries. And I had the pleasure of doing it in 11 of those countries for art in the field, basically. Now, in all of the countries that I have had the pleasure to work in and train the local investigative journalists in the methodology, the frequently asked question was, how does it work in the UK or Germany or France? And I couldn't really answer that question because we've never done it in the EU, because also the BMZ funding kind of restricted us to the global south, we couldn't spend that money in the EU. And so now, 9 years later and 26 countries after, we are delighted to be here in Berlin, in the home country or home city of Media Ownership Monitor, to basically look into the ownership structures and concentration of media in Germany. So I think I can now also relate to you that we had the pleasure or the generous support of Deutscher Postcode Lottery to basically materialize this project, and we've been collaborating with Medien Insider here in Berlin on this project. So I'll give it over. Thank you.
Thank you. We at Medien Insider, we are a magazine that is reporting about the media industry in Germany, and we are founded just 4 years ago. And the Global Media Registry came to us and asked if we can do this project together in Germany. And we said, okay, this is what we're doing. It's interesting to find out who owns the media industry. And at the beginning we said, okay, we are media journalists. Of course, we know who owns the media in Germany. But even for us as a media journalist, we had some surprises. The first thing that we did was to search for the most relevant media in Germany, and we wanted to have 40 media at all, 10 in each sector like print, online, TV and radio. And for that it's not so easy to find out which media outlets in Germany are the biggest or the most relevant. And when you look to the IVW, maybe a few people of you know IVW. IVW is I think Interessensgemeinschaft for Werbevermarkter or something like that. They are measuring the print and online reach of newspapers and magazines, but not for media outlets that have no advertising, like public radio and TV. And so this is not so helpful, so we checked out SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb has also a reach of online media, and we compared both sources to find out which are the top 10 in each category. And for example, one of the findings we had in the sector radio was that these are the top 10 radio stations in Germany. Yes, I was surprised as well, because I didn't know which radio stations are bigger and smaller. And interesting is that 70% of the 10 biggest radio stations are public. So this is an interesting finding. We know that the public radio and TV has a huge impact in Germany, but we did not know how big it is actually. Interesting is also our sample in the TV, because the TV market in Germany, I would say, when you are a watcher on TV, you would say it's yeah, we have a lot of TV stations, a lot of program, but when you look into the owners of the TV program, you find out that 40% is also public, and the other 40% is belongs to ProSieben Sat.1. And the rest of 20% are divided between RTL and other companies. So we have a high concentration in the TV and radio market. This is also for us as a media journalist pretty interesting to know that. Also interesting for the media concentration in Germany are networks like IPN and R&D. In the beginning I said that we had a look on the top 10 of the media outlets when it comes to reach. At IPN and R&D, the most of the outlets are not in the top 10. We have just one outlet of IPN Media in our top 10. This is merkur.de, and for Matzak Group, it's R&D. It's a Redaktionsnetzwerk Deutschland, which is in our sample. But when you look on the websites of these companies, you find a lot of media outlets that belong to the same company and have nearly the same content, but you don't see it as a problem for the media concentration in Germany because they are all small. But when you compare or calculate all together, it's a huge network. So the question that we all have is, how transparent is media Germany? Forgive me, the presentation was made in German. I thought that this panel was in German, but we found out that it's in English. So the text written on the presentation is still in German. Yeah, how transparent is media Germany? As a good Democrat, you know, Germany is a democracy, so we have a lot of free media, a lot of publishers, but yeah, it's not so easy to find out who owns the media. We have some examples like Axel Springer. Axel Springer has their owner structure on their website, so you would say, okay, this is pretty transparent. And we have in our profiles transparency indicators like active transparency, passive transparency, and so on. And this is a good example for active transparency. So they don't put on their website which companies own there. They put just the persons behind the companies on their website. For example, as you might know, Friede Springer has a lot of shares on Axel Springer, obviously, but also the CEO Matthias Döpfner. And another example is the Bertelsmann Group. And Bertelsmann has also their structure on their website, and you would say, okay, this is pretty transparent, but when you look into the details of this structure, I made it a bit bigger, you don't understand nothing. So you say it's Familie Mohn, and she shares 90% of the capital of Bertelsmann SE and Co., Kommanditgesellschaft auf Aktien. But the Stimmrechtskontrolle is from the Bertelsmann Verwaltungsgesellschaft. It's pretty confusing. And what we did at the MOM project was that we looked into the files of the company and find out who has the voting rights and who is the real owner behind Bertelsmann. And it's Familie Mohn, to be honest. Yeah. And we also got emails like that. This is one of the owners of the IPN group, and Jan IPN just wrote to us. I don't understand how we can be more transparent than the public register. Yeah, of course, all owners are in the Handelsregister. Everyone can have a look at it. It's free of charge, so every one of you can download the Handelsregister-Einträge, and you will find out who owns the media. But in German publishing houses have their owner structure about 10 or more levels. So you have to click and download a lot of files to find it out. And and some companies look like that. So we have a Google Doc, and in that Google Doc we had some notes who owns the shares. And this is an example of Antenne Bayern. So you have the Antenne Bayern GmbH und Co. KG, and they take the shares Münchner Zeitungsverlags GmbH. They have shares of www Beteiligungsgesellschaft and so on. So, and to find out who really owns Antenne Bayern, it needs a lot of time. And this is why we have the media ownership monitor, that you can, when we go online, you go on the website, you click on the profile of Antenne Bayern, you find out who is the real personal owner of the persons behind Antenne Bayern. And behind Antenne Bayern, there's a lot of persons behind that, because a lot of publishing houses with small families own the shares of Antenne Bayern. So, and another finding we had is that a lot of private media in Germany belong to media dynasties. For example, most of the names you probably know: Axel Springer, Bertelsmann, the Boda family, Matzak family, the Funke family. And it's could be a problem for the media concentration in Germany, that we have a lot of private owners, but when it comes to the reach of the newspapers, it's only those 5 big owners that are behind our samples. So a lot of media belong to those families or media dynasties. And there's an interesting fact about those families. When you look at the major shares of those companies, you get 5 women. So even if the CEOs of those companies are men, the real power in this company belongs to the woman. The left one on this slide is Friede Springer, and the second one is Elisabeth Furtwängler. This is a daughter of Maria Furtwängler and Hubert Boda. So she owns, together with her brother, the majority of the Boda company. In the middle we have Julia Becker. Julia Becker is the owner and CEO of the Funke Mediengruppe. And the next one is Liz Mohn. She owns the majority in Bertelsmann. And the very right one is Yvonne Matzak. She belongs to the Matzak Group. Yeah. So this was also for me interesting, that the real power in Germany belong to women. So this is how a profile looks on our website. This is from Montenegro. And you see a little profile text. You see some key facts about the company. For example, when the revenue or some facts about the company. And the ownership structure, you see not the companies that belong to the media outlet, but the real persons behind that. In that case, it's one guy that has 100% of the shares of this media outlet. And if you want, you can have a look on the website of Media Ownership Monitor and check out the other countries that we are live with. We publish all the data that we get in the local language and also in English. And we do the same with the MOM Germany project. Yeah, so when it comes to concentration in Germany, how does it look like? From my feeling as a media journalist, I would say it's pretty good. But yeah, we have some risk in the media concentration. And the risks are, for example, the dominance of the public public media. And the second is that all the big media outlets belong to Western Germany publishing houses. So we have in our sample not a single Eastern Germany publishing house. I think it's the problem with that is the history of Germany, because all the Eastern Germany publishing newspapers just went to the Western publishing houses. And this third problem is what I just said, is that we have in the private sector a lot of media outlets, but they belong to just a few big players. Yeah. We will go live in the mid of July, and now I hope that we have some time left for a quick discussion about that. Maybe you have some questions about our findings, and we would love to answer them. Just raise your hand and I go to you with a... Thank you. I come to you.
There are certain people who claim that there exists a patriarchy, so that men dominate everything. How would you interpret this theory based on the media concentration?
Thanks for this question. So, yeah, one thing is who owns the media, and another thing is who controls it in the daily business. So the most media companies have a CEO that might not be the owner, and of course you have in Germany editors-in-chief that are deciding about the content. So when it comes to patriarchy, I have to speak this word correctly. I think. That's a good question. He asked how the men dominance in media industry is in Germany.
Have embedded in the project 12 indicators of risks to media pluralism, and they are being calculated as we speak. So by mid-July you will find out the gender gap, but we mostly focus our attention on representation of women in the running of the media businesses. So we look at the share of women as founders of media, as editors in media, as directors and CEOs, and also as owners. My impression is so far that it's likely to be rather balanced in comparison to all the other countries that we've carried out media ownership monitor so far, where obviously the key positions are predominantly occupied by men. Thank you.
There's a question over there. We will take it.
Thank you. First of all, a comment. Why do you regard public service broadcasters as a risk for media concentration? It is not a risk because it's owned by everyone and controlled publicly. Well, this is a comment. Second, how will you express and display cross-media concentration? As there are, for example, in the Bertelsmann concern, there is all the RTL TV or Springer Digital, very high percentage of digital media. So it would be very useful for the customer or for the interested public to combine media power, cross-sectional, and accumulate it. And if you regard this, you would get to new insights, I suppose.
Thank you for the comment and the questions. The first question was about why we see the public media as a risk for concentration, and the answer to that is that the owner of that is a risk for the concentration. So the owner is one owner that has the majority in the media industry. No, it is, and so it's not a plural media system when you have the majority in a public broadcast. So, yeah. And the second question is about the cross-media thing. So we have in the profile also a list of other media outlets that has the same owner, and also in other industries. So, an example, in a media publisher has shares in oil or gas, something of that, we will list it in the profile.
My question is in the similar direction. Hold on, I got take out my headset. Why do you think that the concentration is not as big? Because it depends on what you compare it to. But I would say that 5 players own the vast majority of the market. If you look at their ownership of local newspapers, of online platforms, and all that kind of stuff. So I have a feeling it's more and more concentrated and not okay or to be easy about. And I also would agree that public television is not like a private ownership. There's not a profit motive behind it. Yes, TV, radio are majority owned, if you want to say it, by public, but it's owned by all of us. And so I do agree that should be a distinct category and not just the mere fact that it's owned by one entity. It makes it a danger to monopolization of information.
can I take this one? Thank you very much for your comments. These are excellent comments, actually, and I would like to pick up first the public broadcaster. You have to remember that we have the ambition of implementing this project all over the world. And not everywhere the state broadcasters / public broadcasters are free of political influence. That's why we of course scrutinize the public broadcasters differently. We look at, even though it is owned and controlled by the public, we look at governance structures, the appointments of the people in the governing structures, and how that basically potentially can be. In many countries that I've worked on, the public broadcasters are first to be captured by political forces. So henceforth, we think that it does provide a certain, it is a risk factor, the public broadcasters' great reach, because now maybe the political system is such that it does, stay away from media, but that can change because different parties can come into power, etc. So we are looking at the risk factor. And from that perspective, any form of concentration is potentially a risk, unless the public broadcaster does its work as prescribed by law, by representing the plurality of opinions to the public. The second question on cross-media, so what was it on cross-media concentration? We do measure the indicator, the concentration within across 4 sectors. We don't want to give you any numbers at this stage because the research is still in progress. But yeah, cross-media ownership concentration is also something that we measure. Thank you.
2 more questions. You have one?
I have 2 questions. Firstly, is there some increase in the polarization in recent years in Germany? And second question, could you elaborate on the fact that some people might argue media concentration is not even a problem as long as freedom of speech is there within the media? What is the problem we have with media concentration?
I answer the second question as first because I forgot the first one. Sorry. So media concentration, we don't judge it. So we just make an overview about the concentration, and what the result of that is can everyone decide for themselves. Sometimes it's good to have a concentration when it comes to economic issues. So for example, we have a change in the print media behavior, so a lot of print newspapers won't survive if they are not together with others. So this could be a good part of the media concentration, and the bad part could be the Meinungspluralität. But we don't judge it, so everyone can use the data and make its own things. And did you understand the first question?
I understood it, but I forgot it.
Yeah, sorry, same.
Oh, the polarization question. Maybe I'll take that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and like any project has limitations, and our limitation is content analysis. We do not do content analysis at this stage of the research. It can be added on as an update, but at this stage of the research, we just look at the ownership structures and plurality of basically providers of news, but we do not really do any analysis of the content. And I think the polarization is one of the questions that could be answered through analyzing basically the way news are reported.
Okay, can I ask? Yeah, thank you for the interesting information. I have a comment and a question. I'm working as a head of the state media authority, the Landesmedienanstalten, and they regulate the concentration in Germany. But my question is, in Germany the media is very federalism. Do you have a kind of list with up and down in the media concentration in, for example, Berlin, Bavaria, or is, for example, Thuringia, where I live, very down because there is almost only Funke?
So the question was about if we have a have a look on the concentration in the federal system. So if we have different data in each country, and the answer is that we have a look on the 40 biggest media companies, media outlets, and they are all from the whole Federal Republic. So we don't have so many local newspapers, but it's an interesting question. So I think we are done with the time. So we can one more question.
Hello. Sorry. My question is: do you say that it was hard work to find out in Germany which owner are behind the companies? But do you look at the media data bank from the Commission of concentration? Because I think for broadcast it's easy, and there are also some Verbindungen, connections.
Yeah. So the question was how hard is it to find out who owns the media? And the answer is it's not so hard, because all the data are public in the Handelsregister and also in the KEK Media Datenbank. So for example, if you don't want to wait until mid of July, you can search for the KEK database. But what we're looking at is the people behind the companies, and this is what is missing in the KEK database. So we find the ultimate company at the end, but we want to have a look who's behind that. And but the KEK database was a perfect starting point for us, so it makes it a lot of easier to find it out. But we double check it with the actual Handelsregister entries. But yeah, it is a perfect database, and it's what our project MOM is Ergänzung to the KEK database. So we have a bit different approach, and we have a journalistic approach on that what we do. So we write some little text about the companies, about the content of the media outlets as well. So this could be interesting for other media users to check both websites. Yeah. So Punktlandung, we say in German. So thank you for your questions and your interest, and have a look mid-July on our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much.